Okay, so this is the simplified anatomy of cerebellum. What do you mean by cerebellum? That is the little brain. Okay, where is it located? Located here just above to cerebellum we have a fold called as tentorium cerebelli. So it is located below to tentorium cerebelli, hence we call it as infratentorial compartment. It is nothing but located in posterior cranial fossa. Where is it located? It's located in posterior cranial fossa. Exactly, if you see the relation of cerebellum, it is located behind to that of brainstem. Brainstem consisting of midbrain, pons and medulla. Between the brainstem and the cerebellum, we have a cavity here, that is only the fourth ventricle. Fourth ventricle. So this is the relation of cerebellum, location, and what does it mean. If you see, the cerebellum is folded on its own. It has large number of neurons to accommodate. Hence, in order to accommodate in such a small cavity, that is the posterior cranial fossa, it folds on its own by many fissures, multiple fissures. Okay, if you see, this is the white matter, and the white matter which is extending into the cortex and which is folding on its own, the cortex which folds on its own. Hence, this pattern of arrangement is called as arbor vitae. Arbor vitae. Okay, that means tree of life. Tree of life. Now, let us go into its external feature. External feature, you need to understand that the entire cerebellum is having two cerebellar hemispheres. Two hemispheres, and which is connected by a center worm-like structure called as vermis. This is only vermis. This is cerebellar hemisphere. Okay, two cerebellar hemisphere connected by a vermis. That is first external feature, and it has a fissure, very prominent fissure called as horizontal fissure, which divides the entire cerebellum into two surfaces. Above to that belongs to superior surface, and below to that it belongs to inferior surface. So what is that fissure? That is called as horizontal fissure. What is this fissure? Horizontal fissure, which divides the cerebellum into two surfaces, superior and inferior surface. Okay, usually cerebellum is like this, like a croissant bun. It is like this, curved on its own. Okay, for our convenience, we have spread it like this in order to show you the entire cerebellum. This is a vermis and this is the hemisphere. Now let us go into what are the other features. Okay, it has a superior surface and an inferior surface that you must have understood, who's dividing it by a horizontal fissure. Okay, superior surface and inferior surface. Now let us go into subdivisions. So what are the subdivisions? We have first anatomical subdivision. Anatomical subdivision, that means it has three lobes. What are the three lobes? Which is divided into two fissures. Can you see this orange fissure here? That is called as this one. This is only called as fissura prima. Fissura prima. Where is it located? It's located in the superior surface at the junction between anterior 1/3 and posterior 2/3. Okay, it is somewhere here. So remember this one fissure, fissura prima. It's located in which surface? Superior surface. There's one more fissure in the inferior surface called as posterolateral fissure. Posterolateral fissure. Now these two fissures, which one? Fissura prima and posterolateral fissure, will divide the entire cerebellum into three anatomical subdivisions. What is it? Above to fissura prima, this orange color what you're seeing is called as paleocerebellum. Sorry, no, I'll leave about the paleocerebellum for now. I'll come to that later. We are talking about anatomical subdivision, isn't it? So this belongs to which lobe? Anterior lobe. Anterior lobe. Which one? Orange color. Between the fissura prima and posterolateral fissure, the rest of the what you are seeing, the larger portion, is called as posterior lobe or middle lobe. One more subdivision, what you're seeing in blue color, below to posterolateral fissure, is called as flocculonodular lobe. So, 3 anatomical subdivisions. Now, plus or minus, these subdivisions, anatomical subdivisions, are directed into morphological subdivision. Morphological subdivision as in, this is one subdivision, anatomical. Second is morphological subdivision. What do you mean by that? Based on development. So embryological, based on evolution rather, how exactly is first which is developed and how exactly the evolution of cerebellum has happened over time. Okay, the one which you are seeing in blue color, which I have represented same both the ways, which is belonging to which node? Flocculonodular lobe, that belongs to the oldest part of cerebellum called as archicerebellum. What it is? Archicerebellum. Archi means old, ancient. Now this lobe, this part of cerebellum is very important to maintain our balance or the equilibrium. Archicerebellum. The plus or minus majority part of the anterior lobe, they belong to which morphological subdivision, you know? It is paleocerebellum. That is next in evolution. First is archicerebellum, flocculonodular, the blue color. The orange color, what has been represented above to fissura prima, plus or minus some of the other lobes and all, just don't worry on that. But majority of anterior lobe will belong to which part of morphological subdivision? Paleocerebellum. Now paleocerebellum is responsible to maintain our body tone, muscle tone and posture. Maintaining muscle tone and posture. The rest, the larger part of the cerebellum, can you see? The larger part of cerebellum, which is well developed in us, that is called as, it belongs to which lobe? The middle lobe. That belongs to which morphological subdivision, you know? Listen carefully. It is neocerebellum. Well developed. The purple color, what has been represented both the sides. Neocerebellum is totally well developed in us, especially the primates, yeah, in man. Now this is responsible for what, you know? It is responsible to maintain our coordination. That is coordination of our movements. Fine movements, fine, F-I-N-E, fine movements. You need to remember this. Gross movements coordination is by our basal ganglia. This is for fine movements, okay? Fine movements, that is precision of our movements, like, you know, writing, drawing circles, like, you know, going from this point and picking up this rubber. All these are fine movements which I need to coordinate, isn't it? If I don't have this, then I'll be going beyond to that reach. I will not be able to take the rubber in hand precisely. So such movements are well maintained by neocerebellum. Let me also tell you, after knowing all this, we also have something called deep cerebellar nuclei. What do you mean by that? This diagram is for that. Deep cerebellar nuclei. Deep cerebellar nuclei. What have you understood? Now, if we divide the entire cerebellum into 3 zones, can you see I have demarcated it? The one which is related to the worm is that we call it as vermal zone. Vermal zone. And one in the lateral hemisphere, we call it as lateral zone. Between these two, this portion we call it as paravermal zone. You understand? Vermal zone, paravermal zone, lateral zone. Now, what are these nuclei? You all know that the cerebellum and cerebrum has an outer cortex and inner medulla. Cortex has the grey matter, medulla has the white matter. Within the white matter, can you see this? This is the white matter. Within the white matter, the center core of it, we have some nuclei. That is collection of grey matter. That is only called as deep cerebellar nuclei. Very, very important. Now from medial to lateral, we have three sets of nuclei. What all is it? I'll tell you. This is called as vestigial nuclei. Vestigial nuclei. These two, one is nucleus globosus, globe-like. This is nucleus emboliformis. This is dentate nucleus. Dentate nucleus. I'm sorry, my handwriting is not so good. Dentate nucleus, the largest of all. Okay, vestigial nucleus, nucleus globosus, nucleus emboliformis, and dentate nucleus. Dentate nucleus, it belongs to which cerebellum? It belongs to neocerebellum. Neo. Dentate nucleus belongs to which cerebellum? Neocerebellum. Both globosus and emboliform together, it belongs to which part, cerebellum? That is paleo. And the vestigial nucleus, it belongs to archicerebellum. I'll again repeat. Dentate nucleus belongs to neocerebellum. These two, globosus and emboliform, belongs to paleocerebellum, and vestigial nucleus, it belongs to archicerebellum. Okay.